Alright. You know you're gonna see the best, the worst with the Shit Flick Critic. You know you're gonna see shit that's absurd with the Shit Flick Critic. From Pandemic the Room, Samurai Cop Troll 2, Mental Sense of Fate, Miami Connection 2. So come along, see the worst with me. I'm the Shit Flick Critic, Self-Isolation Edition. Hello everyone. My name is Andrew Lewis. I am indeed the Shit Flick Critic, and here I am still self-isolating in Blackpool, in Lancashire, England. So no signs of this ending anytime soon. So henceforth, here is another episode of my very loose sort of vlog-style presentation of the Shit Flick Critic. And our movie today is the one, the only, The Amazing Bulk. And yeah, it's just as an indication of what kind of film this baby is. Even just the tagline on its own, don't get mad, get purple. Because I didn't have a purple marker on me, but the main character is purple instead of green, like the Incredible Hulk. And it doesn't make any sense, because don't get mad, get purple. Why would someone, like, if this is just off the top of my head, but why not have a tagline like this guy isn't seeing red, he's seeing purple, or something like that. You know, that's just me. I haven't really thought too hard about that. But it was made in 2012 by a gentleman called Joe Shubrun for the cost of $16,000. And according to an interview, Joe said that basically the kind of style he was going for was to make the film look like a comic book, sort of akin to like Sin City. And a lot of Sin City was done using green screen, and Joe took it upon himself to do green screen too. Unfortunately, he has no experience using green screen, so it's just terrible. He also was wanting to make it a bit like, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but in that film it's set in there's portions of it set in a completely cartoon world, and yet there were real life, you know, like also in Mary Poppins when she's with all those penguins and stuff. He was kind of going for that feel, so having the backgrounds completely cartoon and then having real people in them, and it's just terrible. And it's the whole movie. It really does feel like, I mean, my theory is, I mean, based on what he's saying, I can understand if he came up with the idea to have these real life people in a cartoon environment and then went looking for all this sort of these things to use as backdrops. But I honestly think it happened the other way around. I think he just came across this gold mine, like he bought an old house and went upstairs and opened up a chest, and there are all these USB sticks filled with just like really, really outdated 3D animations from the 90s, and he was just like, this is brilliant, I can make a whole movie out of this. Because the effects themselves are very similar to when I was a kid. I used Microsoft Movie Maker, and it was this program where you could make your own sort of short films. There were these animated characters that you kind of dragged around, and they went like that everywhere, and then you had these backdrops, and there were always just certain scenes, and these scenes, the application itself provided you with different angles of these certain scenes. So it feels like Joe used something very similar in this movie, because there are some locations that have very thorough angles, like the city itself that some of the film takes place in. You know, there's a back alley, and then there's a shot looking at the street from this way, there's a shot looking at the street from this way. And then really that's the only time we ever get anything that thorough. The rest is just like very poorly kind of stitched together scenes that have very little relevance with the location. And we'll talk about the story, because the storyline itself follows very closely to the Marvel film, The Incredible Hulk. Yeah. So basically you've got this scientist, and he wants to make a serum that will make people regenerate muscles or something like that. And he's engaged to a girl who happens to be the daughter of his boss, and his boss is some military dude that's saying, I want you to finish this serum right quick, otherwise you're going to lose your job. So then he takes it upon himself to inject himself with the serum to see if it will work, and then he becomes this amazing bulk character. And the other thing too is like that plot in itself is kind of a by the numbers superhero kind of mockery, But then the weirdest thing is, like, parallel to that, we have this storyline taking place in a castle with a character called, what's his name? Dr. Werner von Kantlov. And it's just this dude putting on a really bad German accent, wanting to blow up the world and talking with his girlfriend all the time, Lolita, about how he has erectile dysfunction. And, the two plot lines do eventually merge in at the end of the movie, but for the most part, there doesn't ever really seem to be any relevance between these two plots. And that's the most frustrating thing about this movie, is it feels like the tone is all over the place. It really doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know if it wants to be a gritty superhero movie, or it doesn't know if it wants to be a comedy, or some kind of like a spoof of a superhero movie. It's just all over the place, and it's really uncomfortable to watch, and it's hard to watch too. It's hard to follow what's going on, because you're just like, wait, who's that now? Why are they doing this? So yeah, that's basically a very, very brief rundown of the story. Now, the acting itself, I've got a little placard for that. The acting, that again is all over the place, because you have some people, like the main character, Jordan Lawson, who plays Henry Howard, I believe the protagonist name is. He's taking this film very seriously. The girl that plays his fiancée is taking the film very seriously. That's Siobhan Castle, who actually, I feel really sorry for her, because she appears to, she's taking this film very seriously, and I think it's insulting to her how terrible it is, and I feel like she probably should have dropped out at some point, because her acting is actually not too bad, for what this movie is. She actually cries and stuff. Little does she know that she's just in this complete head F of a movie. Then so you've got the main character, Jordan Lawson, and the funny thing about Jordan is his smile is upside down. So in every scene where you're supposed to take him really seriously, he's talking and it's just like, I can't do it. I can't make this serum work. Like every really dramatic moment is just ruined with this. He's actually looks like he's like what's his name, Robert De Niro on steroids, because Robert De Niro is very, and he's just then you've got Terrence Lording is the general, and he's just relishing in this role. I think he knew the caliber of movie that he was in, so he's just hamming it up for the camera and very over the top. I think the hardest thing about that character is he looks so adorable. He's just like this little old guy with this teeny little mustache, and in every scene he's like, I'm supposed to be the antagonist and you're supposed to take me very seriously. But it's very, very hard to do so. Of course, then we have the Randall Malone, who plays Dr. Kantlov, and boy, are those scenes hard to watch. I mean, first of all, he's putting on this very, very poor German accent all the time and going, what shall we do? And it takes him so long to say things in this really bizarre talking style. And he, as I said, all his scenes involve this. I believe her name's Juliet Angeli, his fiancée or wife or girlfriend or whatever. And she's strange too, because I don't know if she's trying to do an accent or not, because you can kind of tell in certain scenes that her native accent is from New York, because she's like, honey, what are we doing here? Wow, pokey. But then she's trying to do this weird English kind of thing with her voice too. So it goes from being, honey, this is a lovely place and I want to do that. It's just, the tone is very mishmash. And then you've got the two detective characters who pop in at some point, and they're supposed to have this real, like, stereotypical rapport with each other, but it just doesn't come across very well. And the dude, I think the dude, Jed Rowan, who plays Detective Gray Garton, he knows what kind of movie he's supposed to be in, because he doesn't really seem like he's taking it very seriously. But his partner, yeah, she's not a very good actor. She's like, wow, a crime scene. I wonder who did this. This could be some kind of murderer. She's terrible. so that's basically all the main cast. And something else worth mentioning too. Again, like when I'm talking about the tone, at the very beginning of this movie, a dude kills a prostitute. That's like the first 3 minutes of the movie. Some guy offs a prostitute. So we go from that to just this dude, Mr. Can't Love, talking about his erectile dysfunction, and it's supposed to be funny, I guess. I mean, that's the hardest thing about this movie is I think the director or whoever wrote it, I don't know, they must have, I don't know how they thought any of this would be funny. It's terrible. It's really, really hard to watch. There's a whole sequence devoted to Dr. Can't Love is going to set off these missiles to blow up a whole bunch of cities all around the world. And in order to do so, he needs to activate these satellites. And while these satellites are activating, like different mechanical parts are going in different things, and the world is in the background because it's in space, obviously. Satellites are very rarely on Earth. And they keep, as these real footage of satellites are assembling, they keep reversing the footage and making it do that because of sex and because sex is funny. And what's funny about that too is the world is in the background, and as they keep reversing the footage and playing it again, the world keeps going, sort of going back and forth on its rotation. So not only is it not funny in any way, it goes on for a very, very long time, and you're just like, let me guess, it's gonna, because sex is funny. It does at times feel like an 8-year-old wrote the script, because it's funny how there's lots of sex jokes but very little swearing. At one point, the main character tells the general when he's in a fit of rage to stick something where the sun don't shine. It's like, who says that? You'd say stick it up your ass or something, not where the sun don't shine. So that was very peculiar. Let's talk about, I mean, the shining shitty thing about this movie, despite everything else, is just the special effects. I just love the special effects that I've utilized in writing this. Are terrible. Again, like all these backgrounds and stuff just feel like they're from some kind of 90s video editing application. And the ones that aren't, you can actually tell when they need something that they weren't actually able to get from some kind of either, I don't know if they go to some kind of royalty-free animation website, because it looks like they've constructed it in MS Paint. And I mean that in the most literal sense. Like, I'm not just saying that to be mean. There's sometimes characters are in cars, and not only has no one got a steering wheel, they're just sitting there talking to each other like, how do you want to do? And they're in this car, and it's just been constructed in the most basic program, and it looks terrible. It just looks like beyond cartoonish. I think I did more impressive things with MS Paint when I was 11. And then there's the kind of, or every now and again there'll be these 3D characters that just are kind of hanging around while people are talking. Again, it looks like kind of akin to the paperclip that's on Microsoft Word and other various things like that. I think, I don't know if you guys remember, this could be long ago, but in Microsoft, in XP, when you search, there'd be this dog that showed up, and it was all like really poorly 3D animated. That's what it looks like. And it's just funny because you can tell when they just added it in for no reason, because none of the main characters seem to notice or interact with these. Like there's a monkey at one point or a dog. So it's very, very strange. Also, there's a scene towards the end, and you just have to see it to believe it. Look up on YouTube, just look up the chase scene from The Amazing Bulk, because after the main character, he defeats Can't Love finally. I was waiting for that dude to die. So he defeats Can't Love, and he starts running away, and the military decides that they want to kill him. So they start bombing him. And then just the weirdest thing happens while he's running away. I guess they ran out of backgrounds because they just start putting anything in the background. And I mean literally anything. It's not even plot relevant anymore. Like, he runs past a kangaroo and a koala in what appears to be outback Australia. He runs past kids playing soccer in a field. And again, it's these 3D animated, like... And none of them seem to interact with all these explosions that are going on. like again, these kids are on a seesaw while explosions are going off and just laughing and not seeming to notice all the chaos that's going on. And it just goes on forever. And it's like they just went online and they just went into a browser and just looked up free royalty 3D animated footage of things attacking things, because there's like someone with a bow and arrow, there's a tank shooting, and it's just insane. It's just nuts. I just don't know what they were thinking when they constructed that sequence of events. It's insane. It's beyond bad, and it careers into just. I just worry what they think in their day-to-day life, because they probably need to be diagnosed with something if they think that that's either good or funny or whatever. It's very strange. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about before I move on, but that's really it. Yeah, something else worth mentioning too that I find funny is that because it's green screen, all the flowers and roses and stuff throughout the whole thing, they've all got black stems that none of the characters really seem to notice or talk about. Obviously, because if the flowers had green stems, they would interfere with the green screen. So, that's another thing. A lot of the characters run on the spot because they can't move because they're just in a green room, I imagine. So a lot of them, it's just like this. And it's even funnier when they're talking and they're just kind of bobbing up and down. There's a scene where he's chasing his wannabe fiance, and they're just kind of awkwardly bopping up and down. She's like, "I bet you'll never catch me." It's like, yeah, well, he's not moving. He can't catch you. You're correct in assuming that. Just an all-around terrible film. And I think the makers of it should be ashamed, because it's not only bad, it's disgusting, it's tasteless, and it's a waste of everyone's time. So I wouldn't even really recommend watching the thing. Go on YouTube and just look up clips of bits of it, and then that's enough, because it's hard to watch. And on that note, let's do my rating. So I judge films based on 5 categories. There it is there in all its glories. Let's have a look at laughability. I mean, I laughed, but it wasn't like ha-ha. It was more like I kind of actually felt like I was losing my grip on reality, especially in that chase scene when all those kangaroos and at one point there's a flying dog come into the frame, and there's no real explanation for what they're doing there. And you will get sick of seeing this purple thing's ass, by the way. That's something I forgot to mention is the Amazing Bulk does look like a big naked baby, so brace yourself for that. Rewatchability. I saw it just before. I hadn't seen it in a long time. I don't really have any interest in watching it again, especially the full movie. I mean, it's hard. It only goes for an hour and 10 minutes, but far out does it feel like a lifetime. So, in that sense, I wouldn't even suggest watching it once unless you have a particularly strong stomach. The pace, it's not boring. Oh, the bits with Can't Love are particularly awful and extremely monotonous, so brace yourself for those. But other than that, it's okay. Production value, terrible. Really bad. An embarrassment to everyone who took place in that production. So, and intention. I mean, I don't know. I guess he wanted to make a movie, some kind of comic book movie. I don't know if it was a spoof or I'm not sure the reasons behind it, but what he got was just awful and just a pitiful stain on the cinematic. I want to say universe, but that means something else now. But anyway, so I give it -1 star. It's terrible. It's really bad. It's not worth anyone's time. It's just a very hard thing to watch and an even harder thing to understand. I feel like it's the kind of thing that aliens are going to find 100 years or 1,000 years in the future, and just all sit and be like, there must be some profound explanation for this, because no one would just make something this bizarre other than, but someone did, and his name was Louis Screwbrun. that thus concludes my episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, if there's anything you guys feel like I can improve, these are just kind of going to be very bare bone episodes. So I am going to go back to my original format at some point, but just now while I'm kind of stuck here, this is just what I'm going to do for a bit. If any of you guys have any suggestions on movies you'd like for me to talk about, please send them, because I'd like to watch a movie I've never seen before. Some of the ones that I've reviewed, I always kind of watch a couple times. I'd like to get a fresh reaction, so please feel free to send me some things. And another travel story for y'all. So I'll talk about, I was in Connecticut, and I was hitchhiking, and I was trying to get to New York from Connecticut. And I forgot exactly where it was. I think I was near New London, and these two dudes pull over, and they're in a truck. And they're like, and one of them, he was from West Virginia, so he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And they were a little bit off color, but I was like, they seem like nice enough. I mean, to pull over like that, I thought was pretty good. So they open up the door for me to get in, and it turns out this is only a 2-door truck. And the extra seat is actually wedged between the 2 back doors and the back window. So you can imagine, like, there's the back window of the truck. So I was kind of wedged to the side in this little area. And it wasn't until they closed the doors that I realized that I can't leave this car if I want to, which was a very daunting thought, because if anything happens. But I'm like, nothing's going to happen. I'd been doing it for months and months at that point, and I'd never been uncomfortable yet. You know, I loved hitchhiking, so we're going. And then all of a sudden, they just immediately go down a road I didn't expect them to. And I was like, "Oh, where are we going, guys?" He's like, "Oh, I know a better way for you to go. I'm going to take you there." I was like, "Oh, I don't know, guys. I just kind of want to get to where I want to go." They're like, "No, trust us." I was like, "All right." Then all of a sudden he goes, "Yeah, well, like back in West Virginia, me and my uncle, we were driving. We picked up a hitchhiker, and we sat him in the front seat. And I sat in the back, so if anything happened, I'd strangle him." I'm like, okay. All right. And then he goes, "Yeah, so," and he's got this bag with him, and it stinks. And me and my uncle was like, "What's in the bag? What's in the bag?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to tell you." So then we just kicked him out the car, but he left his bag in, and I'm just sitting there like super uncomfortable at this point. And he's like, "You gonna ask me what was in the bag?" I was like, "What was in the bag?" He's like, "It's none of your business." I was like, "Oh, it's a joke." He's like, "Yeah, I'm just joking with you." I'm like, all right. And then as we're going, they turned like music up really loudly, and again, I just want to get out of this car. And then he at one point he goes, "When me and my friend saw you hitchhiking on the side of the road, I said to him, I wanna take him back to my house and do dirty things to him. I'm just joking with you." And I'm like, all right. Okay. At that point, I just really want to get out of this car. And then they took me to where I was going, and he ended up giving me $20. So happy ending after all. Just never want to go through anything like that again, because that was the only time doing this hitchhiking thing that I ever was like, man, I really hope I get out of this car, And thus concludes my video. I hope you guys are all doing well with this whole corona thing. I'll probably make another one in a couple of days or something. Let me know what you think. Hope you enjoyed it. And I don't really have much else to say, but I will play you guys out. My guitar's over here, so just bear with me. Here she blows. Here we go, a little sing-song. You know you're gonna see the best of worst with Shit Flick Critic. You know you're gonna see shit that's absurd with the Shit Flick Critic. From pandemic to room, samurai cultural to man, I says I'm fake, I'm a connection to. Come along, see the worst with me. I'm the Shit Flick Critic. A little bit out of tune, but it's alright. Alright, see you later.